What is up, guys? My first video. My name is Thomas. I'm studying to be a music and ethics teacher here in Germany, and this channel is just kind of a journal for myself, for reflections about practicing music and living life in general. And my first video will be about, well, practice, the practice of practice. I read a lot of stuff, and I've been working with Gregg and Goodhart, who is a learning coach in the US. And I'm just in the midst of figuring out how to implement all of the stuff we know about neuroscience, cognitive science, and psychology for my practicing, and in the second step also for the practicing of my students, or the learning of my students in school later. And I just wanted to illustrate is the word. Illustrate how I'm about to do this. Right now I'm practicing a piece by Mendelssohn, the Venetian Boat Song number 2 from his Opus 30 number 6, which is in F sharp minor. And so on. So I'm no pianist myself. I'm a guitarist, so piano is an instrument that I'm trying to learn myself right now. And I found that the key of F sharp minor is a little bit unusual for me. So what I've been doing is I'm trying to create desirable difficulties for myself in the key of F sharp minor, just to be a little bit more familiar with the key. And I'm doing it via improvisation right now. I'm trying to improvise a Lied ohne Worte myself, a Venetian boat song, if you will. Yeah, it's not a boat song. And how I'm about to do this is, for example, I'm taking this pattern until it feels fairly comfortable. So I can do it while I'm talking to the camera, which means that this thing is encoded enough in my working memory, to be honest also in my long-term memory, because I've been practicing this pattern for the past few days, that I don't have to do anything to really activate it. It's just in my long-term memory and I can use it. Which means that playing this here won't give me any learning benefit. Even changing the chord won't give me any learning benefit because I already know it. And one of the mistakes that we tend to do in practicing is that we focus too much on the encoding phase, which just means getting the information into our brain. But since the goal of all learning essentially is performance, think about playing a piano piece, solving a math problem, sewing with a needle. Everything we try to learn is in order to perform a task or something in that line later down the road, or to be able to solve a problem that we may have not seen in that kind of context. So our problem, especially in our school system and also in our education system in terms of, for example, practicing music, oftentimes is that we don't practice the problem-solving part as retrieval. So, for example, if I were to retrieve this now, I would say, okay, I have one chance to play it correctly because that's how I would do it in concert. And we are usually not good at this, which means we are judging ourselves based on our retrieval practice, even though we didn't practice retrieving the stuff that much. Of course, people that do this intuitively or through a teacher, we call talented, or they're just better than us. But in essence, they are just practicing the right stuff at the right time in the right context. And that's the art of learning. So learning has to be learned itself. It doesn't fit well to judge yourself by performing bad in a math test when all you did beforehand is not testing yourself in the math problems, but just working on them while your working memory is focused on them. Because working memory fades, long-term memory usually doesn't. But we're very bad at getting the stuff that we stored in our long-term memory out. So, what I would do, for example, is, okay, I practiced some patterns in this key, and now I'm trying to retrieve them by just playing this for you guys as if it were in a concert. And then we will judge how it sounds. I'll stop here. As you may have noticed, the pattern in my left hand struggled at a particular point, and it was when I tried to implement this broken chord, these arpeggios, which means that retrieving this stuff is harder for me than the other stuff that I did, like, because I practiced this a little bit more, and it's of course not as complex playing one note here as opposed to playing this pattern while playing an arpeggio on every beat. So what I would do is try to encode it a little bit slower. And whatever I would practice. And then try to retrieve it as often as I can, maybe every 5 minutes, or when I'm playing every now and then, and trying to focus to get it right during the retrieval. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just creating the cognitive load will help myself. But if I only practice in this tempo, I most likely won't get this thing down perfectly because it's just too hard. The cognitive load for myself is too high. So what I would have to do is maybe practice a little bit slower. Made a mistake, no problem. And I would try to retrieve it every now and then, changing the chords while playing, so as to get more into a flow state, which just is like planning to do something, doing something, and reflecting about if it worked. It's just this ad infinitum. Yeah, well, that's my first video, guys. I hope you like it. I hope you can derive some value from it. And see you next time. Bye.